Shadow Shoot Shot. Shadow Shoot Shot for the week. This is episode 7. We got Mr. Storm. We got the Shadow here. This is what, episode 7?
Episode 7, man.
Well,
7.
well,
Lucky.
damn it.
Lucky number 7. Lucky number
Lucky
7.
Well, you guys are lucky and fortunate to know that the Shadow is not famous, but is well known. And we're about to let you know what we know about the world of professional wrestling. That's what we do here on the Shoot Shot. I'm going to jump right into it. So when people are watching that little part where it's like before it fades out and stuff, before you decide to watch the episode, you at least see some excitement in the show and make you want to tune in. So what? Yeah, as I say, tune in if you got the guts. WWE versus AEW, or WWE and AEW's future. Who is the future for these two companies? Who are the guys that could be or will be or are the breakout stars for these two companies? That's the question for this week, for this episode, and we're going to jump right into it. So I look at one thing and I look at the WWE and I see Braun Breaker and I hear all the hype and everything about him. Right now, he's living up to all the hype. And I'll tell you this, he is a second-generation wrestler. Mm-hmm. His father and his uncle are two of the most famous tag team wrestlers in wrestling history. The dog-faced gremlin and Big Daddy, Big Booty Daddy, Scott Steiner. And look, Scott Steiner was one of the few guys that was able to reinvent himself a couple of times in wrestling history. I mean, like when he was in WCW, then when he was in TNA, the Big Booty Daddy, you know, and when I think they did a little stint in the WWE. But if you look at Braun Breaker, you see the best of both in him. This guy can talk. Well, he's learning how to talk, but he can talk good enough right now. Wrestling skills are fantastic. He knows how to interact with the crowd. He hypes people up, and the hype behind him is better than what it was because he's legit. Better than Goldberg, better than Brock Lesnar, better than the most. I mean, like, you see the potential of multiple levels with him because it's like you could continue to do like squash matches where he runs in, runs the ropes. They say he runs 23 miles an hour against the ropes. So the impact on that spear is like, scary. But he has to be careful because he doesn't want to like dislocate or injure his shoulder while doing that move. But he looks fantastic. He's coming up really strong. They're making him look strong. He faced the Dragunov, great match. So I say right now on track in WWE, Braun Breaker has the potential to be that breakout star, which he already is since he's come from NXT to Monday Night Raw. But I think on a level to where it's like by SummerSlam, he should have a big marquee match, and that will say a lot on whether or not and how hard and how far they're going to push him. But Braun Breaker should be having a big match. Question is like, does he face for the Intercontinental title or something else? But I just really think he needs to like take on a legend or semi-legend or soon-to-be legend and just have a marquee match at SummerSlam, far as he goes. Now,
so
the second one.
Go ahead. Hold on there. You're saying for Breaker. So how high is his ceiling? Is he the next Roman Reigns kind of guy? You know, Rock, Stone Cold, John Cena level?
He's
you're putting him up into the upper echelon of wrestlers. Okay.
Expectation is right now because I think a lot of us made a mistake when we looked at the Minnesota Timberwolves in the playoffs against Denver, and we saw Anthony Edwards. They said he has arrived, the next coming, the face of the NBA, and then Dallas came, and Dallas came, and they did their thing. Whereas with Braun Breaker, I see the same thing. At least like when you look at Anthony Edwards, you say, yeah, you know what? Give him another year or two, he will be 100% the face of the NBA. So when I look at Braun Breaker, I say give him another year, and he will be the face of a year or two. He will be the face of WWE. And it takes a lot to say to be the face of the WWE because right now, Cody Rhodes is. So I'm not going to say he'll be the face of, but I'll say he'll be one of the big top superstars in about a year and a half. And then by the second year, WrestleMania, he should be having his moment. Now, I think he's on track to be fast-tracked just like Brock Lesnar was, and just like one guy in particular who is now over 20 years in the industry, Randy Orton. He has that. And actually, to me, I think on I think he's on another level than where Randy Orton was.
Got it.
Because Randy Orton was the first youngest world champion or something like that. And he's accomplished a lot. And he's a legend now already and stuff. The legend killer is a legend.
Yes.
So when you look at Randy's career, I think that Braun Breaker can have the same. If he stays healthy and he keeps in the pace that he's going and the pace that they're taking him, he could be, yeah.
Okay, well, you hear that, wrestling fans? And like, you know, the way they play like fantasy football, we're doing fantasy wrestling. Start picking your Braun Breakers out of everyone else. Start picking them for your fantasy wrestling. We're going to start that, actually.
Wrestling. That's a good idea. You know, we need to do that thing like the PixelsPlasticInk thing, where it's like, let's compare the guys and see who wins. You know, no, that's 100%. Like, this is fantasy wrestling right now. Braun Breakers are one. Second one, my second choice that I really feel like is, I've been calling him a sleeper for the last 12 months or over a year now, and that is Ludwig Kaiser. Ludwig Kaiser is magical. This guy has, when you say the it factor, Ludwig Kaiser has that. Now listen, he's German, and there was something. He is dating Tiffany Stratton. Who made the whatever called get your black whatever to what's that, Jade Cargill, and they make a big deal out of it. Trash talk in wrestling is normal, and trash talk is fine. That does not make Stratton a racist, which I just had to say. I like Stratton. Ludwig is dating her. I like Ludwig. I think they would be a power couple if they put them together. I think they would be freaking awesome together. I think that they could be the top heels in WWE in the next 6 months even. Ludwig Kaiser can talk, can wrestle. He's aggressive. He has all those elements. His cockiness, his arrogance, the way he delivers his speeches, the way he delivers his lines. Even when he introduces Gunther, ring general, this freaking guy pulls you in when he's not even wrestling. Now, there's only one person that can draw attention by running their mouth. That does it well, and that's Paul Heyman. And if you really, really think about it, Gunther is great because he delivers in the ring. But who was the voice piece for Gunther to get him where he's at now? Ludwig Kaiser. And if you think about it, Paul Heyman did wonders for Roman Reigns, and he was the one to help get Roman to that next level. So you're talking about a talking piece, someone that can run his mouth and really agitate the fans, that really draw in that thing. The Kaiser effect is real. I think it's magical. And I think that just like they did with Sheamus, and the match he had with Sheamus was magical, I think that it's like he's on a path. If you ask me, as they're doing the Money in the Bank, it should come down to Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther. One-on-one, a mano, and see what happens. But more than likely to be Dragunov and Gunther or something to that effect. Because everyone's waiting for the Gunther and Dragunov match for Monday Night Raw. They've seen it in NXT. And if you are Instagrams or whatever, you can go back and find old Gunther when he was like 350 pounds or 400 pounds of just blob, but his chops was still like deadly. And his matches with Dragunov were like insane. So, saying all that to say, I'm still just saying that Ludwig Kaiser is a guy that could potentially be the top heel in WWE down the line. That's my take. Second generation wrestler. Yeah.
That's fantasy wrestling fantasy pick number 2 at WWE is Ludwig Kaiser. Okay, so Breaker and Kaiser. If you haven't picked those guys, you better start picking them now for WWE, because we're going to make this fantasy wrestling the big thing, man.
Yeah. All right, let's do it, man. Because my predictions, my whole moniker used to be Shadow Knew Before You Know, and I'm telling you right now, those on that category of Shadow Knew Before You Know. And now we go to AEW. And we talk about AEW. We talk about, where AEW is right now. Who is the future of AEW? Now, you say past, present, future, or you say the now or the it factor. Now, I'll give them props 100%. It's MJF. MJF is the guy in AEW. And
Okay.
he's young enough to build this company around. But there is one slight problem.
Okay.
This guy can't wrestle. And when I say can't
Oh,
wrestle,
think that's not just one big problem. That's the majorest problem.
now look, there's been guys that have been able to get away with it, like Goldberg and some of the other guys. But like MJF has talked his way throughout his career in wrestling,
Uh,
or talked his way out throughout the AEW time, his time in AEW. The
mm,
guy's 5'7", man. Like,
mm,
okay, they build him as 5'9", 5'10", or even 6 feet. He's 5'7". Okay, he is no taller than Chris Benoit was. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is 5'7". People
mhm,
look at Chris Jericho and think he's 5'8", or I mean 5'10", 5'11". No.
mhm,
And this brings you back to last episode. The four men I talked about:
mm,
Benoit, Jericho, Eddie
mhm.
Guerrero, and who's it? Rey Mysterio. Yeah.
Yep.
You think about those four. Well, we all know how short Rey Mysterio is.
Of course.
Eddie Guerrero and Chris Jericho were about the same height. Chris
Mhm,
Jericho was built as someone that was like 5'10", 5'11". Chris
mhm,
Jericho was 5'8". Eddie Guerrero was, I think, 5'7". Chris Benoit
mhm,
was like 5'7".
mhm,
Eddie, I think he was 5'8". Um, Jericho might be 5'9", maybe. But I'm just saying the point of is like they build these guys. As a matter of fact, there was just an article about The Rock not being 6'5". Okay, yeah, okay, he's 6'3", 6'3 and a half. Don't matter. It's over with. His career in wrestling. But MJF is legitimate, like 5'8", 5'7". Does it matter these days? No, it don't. But when you put them in a ring with someone that's a legit 6'3", 6'5", they look like giants. They look
yeah,
like beasts and monsters. And so your in-ring performance matters because you have to convince everyone that you can
mhm,
actually beat this big 6'4", 6'5" guy that you're wrestling in the ring with. Now, the problem I'm having is that this guy can't go. He does some really creative things in the ring to where he distracts you from his inability to wrestle, rolling out of the ring, getting
mhm,
engaging the crowd, rolling back into the ring, doing a dirty move, taking a guy and pulling the top turnbuckle, getting the stupid ring to distract everyone from one very simple thing. I can do a combination of hip toss, backdrop, arm drag, and then that's it. But the simplicity of wrestling is you just have to make a hip toss, a backdrop, and an arm drag look good and make sense.
mhm,
There's no mystery magical thing to professional wrestling. It's just being able to tell a story with the tools that's been given to you. Now,
mhm,
again, he's very smart at what he does in the ring, but he's exposed when a professional wrestler like myself watches his match and says, God, this guy's freaking awful. He's horrible.
mhm,
He did a 60-something match with Daniel Bryan. Why? Why would they ever do that? I was not a fan of it. It was not great. There were a lot of rest holds. And yes, of course, Daniel Bryan carried him. Now, he was smart. He wrestled a lot of guys that knew how to wrestle and could carry him and make him
mhm,
look good. But I'm saying all this just to say is that he made a comment this past week
mhm,
about Swerve Strickland. Yeah, blah, blah, swerve to the. Yeah, that swerve to the die is what put Swerve Strickland up, elevated him into the AEW and now world champion. Prince Nana helped put him there. The song helped put him there. But guess what? Swerve Strickland delivers in the ring. So even if you just get Nana doing this all the way to the ring to hype up the match, that's all you need because he's going to deliver in the ring. When it comes to MJF and how I noticed his return, he badmouthed. He talked trash about all the top stars in AEW, all the stars that you're supposed to be building up. He tried to trash them, take them all down a peg. Why? Because, bro, like if you're building towards a match, the match is not to make a guy expose a guy or make a guy look bad. Swerve is not the best talker, but he has enough in his repertoire to cover all of that. So I'm saying all that to say is this: this is AEW's choice. I'm not saying it's my choice. It's AEW's choice as MJF is the face of the company. Now, whether or when they put the title on him, it's up to them. But they have other options. And I'm going to bring up an option that's not even on TV right now, which makes absolutely no sense to me. And that is a guy that goes by the name of Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks was supposed to be like right there being built and groomed into like the next champion in AEW. And guess where he was? On Collision. With who? CM Punk. CM Punk saw something in Ricky Starks and said, I'm going to do a feud with him until CM Punk was gone. Where did that leave Ricky Starks? But so here, and then here's the thing. I believe it's Cody Rhodes that speaks highly of Ricky Starks. So Ricky Starks could possibly be in the WWE soon or someday. So I say to AEW, you have an opportunity to take a guy that's like 30, 31, and elevate him to main event status. How do you do that? How do you do that? Why did I pick him? He's my pick. Shadowe knew before you know, Ricky Starks could be the face of AEW. That's my choice. And I'll tell you what. He runs his mouth. They say, he's a knockoff of The Rock. He's a copycat of The Rock. They make fun of him. You're just like a little baby, like The Rock pooped you out of his butt. Let me explain something. There is a guy that goes by L.A. Knight. And his whole character is a throwback of ruthless aggression. It's a combination of The Rock, of The Undertaker, of the Mr. Badass Undertaker, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Maybe dabble in a little bit of Mick Foley as well. But he's a combination of a throwback character, and it's working, and he's popular, and everybody sees him as what? A star, a superstar. What AEW is doing, or has done, or should I say, continues to do, is they take guys that have the potential to be superstars and they trash down on them until they don't look like stars anymore. Even when you cut promos, if you cut promos to a point where you've not only degraded the person, but you made your own product and brand look terrible to where your feud doesn't even matter. Because if this wrestler is not that great and is that terrible, why are you wrestling them? Why are you in a feud with him? I mean, if MJF is, everybody loves him and loves when he get on a mic. But here's the problem. He has a tendency to run his mouth so much that you have diluted the heat that you were building for your own feud. This is what he's doing right now with Serge Strickland. It's like, bro, you're talking so much trash about him that it's like, you're a hater. Is that the word you use to describe MJF? It's like, you got the big contract, you got the big bucks, you could be world champion again. Figure it all out, man. Find a good balance and stuff. There should be a good balance when you run your mouth. And I can run my mouth. So all I'm saying is that Ricky Starks, he does great interviews. He's great in the ring. He's a great worker. He makes guys that can't wrestle look freaking good. So if I was to choose someone, I would choose him as a guy I would start to build as the superstar and maybe the face of AEW. But all I can say, Mr. Storm, is this. Tony Khan doesn't make wrestling television for the wrestling fans. Tony Khan does not make wrestling for the casual wrestling fans that turns the channel and says, oh, let me see. Oh, look at this, Edge. Whoa, hold on a second. Why is Edge wrestling this guy I've never seen before? Wait a minute. Why is Edge bleeding? Wait a minute. Why is Edge jumping off the top of a cage?
Well, the question is, Shadow, who does Tony Khan make wrestling for?
Man, look, Tony Khan makes wrestling for himself and for the freaks like him. So the sickos, as he calls it. So you can have all your sicko TV, bro. I don't want it. You bring me some good wrestling, my advice, Ricky Stark, that's my choice. But as we get close to the wrap, I will just say this. When it comes to WWE and AEW, there's talent and potential in both products. And I think that there's room for both products. I think there's an opportunity for AEW to grow and to build. WWE is on track with Triple H direction to build some incredible new superstars, man.
All right.
That is
Well, we'll get into like again. So AEW or possibly WWF, but your fantasy wrestler is Ricky Starks, whether it's over at AEW or he heads over to WWE. Okay,
hey,
so we got that. So we got Braun Breaker, Luca
yeah.
Kaiser, and then we got Ricky Starks, all in fantasy. So we're gonna
And
build this
look,
fantasy
I,
wrestling
I,
up.
I put MJF. I put MJF on that list,
Okay,
but
MJF.
that's
Okay.
for AEW. That ain't for me, but it's for
Okay.
AEW.
Okay. Now, if you got this far and you haven't done something, if you haven't liked, haven't thrown a comment down there, or the most important thing, subscribe, then hey, you're not telling Shadow you want this kind of actual content on a continuous basis. But when you do all three of those things, that lets him know and everything to keep hyping it, keep bringing it, and keep doing the thing that he's doing. We got any previews of what you're thinking in the next couple of weeks or something? What we're going to do with the shoot shot, man?
100%. We're going to be building towards SummerSlam coming up. We're going to be looking at what's coming. I want to spend these next couple of weeks deep diving into some individual wrestlers, and then it don't matter where they're at, but I want to dig into like WWE, AEW, TNA, and just dig into some of these wrestlers. And then we're going to take a time to talk about the female wrestlers as well and stuff. But these next couple of weeks we're going to just kind of deep dive into some wrestlers and what can make them better, or what can or are they already great. So coming shows we'll be doing that. We'll be digging into some real subject matters and tell some old stories. You know what I mean? But tune in and check out our archives is coming. The archives are coming, as Mr. Storm has already said. The archives are coming, so you're gonna get great interviews from back in ECW, WCW days, WWF days. Yes, it's coming. Tune in.
All right. Well, and as always, Shadow, like I said, if they want to contact you, how do they find you on I know this, but do they know this? Instagram, X, and everything. You all over the place.
Yeah, we're on Instagram. We got Shadow Knows Network on Instagram. We're on X as Shadow Network on X, and and you're looking for the Shadow, you'll find them as well as stuff. Just type in Shadow, SHADOWE. Put 2 zeros at the end. You'll find me. Some people have already found me, so that's exciting. It's really exciting. So I'm excited for what we're doing now. We're going to be continuing to build this formula, continue to build the shoot shot, and continue to talk about professional wrestling. That's what I love. That's what we do.
All right. Well, for the glorious Shadow, I'm Alexander Storm. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next episode.